So my previous video was where I read the Final Fantasy XIV drama story, 10 Years of Lies. If you haven't seen that video, I suggest you watch it first before this one. But if you have seen it already, then keep watching since I will be interviewing the OP from that drama story. Okay, hello!
Hello. Before you ask any questions, first I want to thank you so much for reading my story. I think you did a really good job because it was really long, so thank you so much.
Aww. Oh, thank you. I mean, thank you for submitting it. It was a pleasure to read it. This hands down was like one of the best stories I've ever read because it's like the craziest
Right?
IRL. You know, it's not just Final Fantasy XIV, it's your real life. Your real life was affected.
Yeah, and like, it's really sad because I told my mom some of the stuff that I learned, not everything, but like about the $2,000 that Tucker had wired him. I told my mom about that, and my mom still tells me that like she's having nightmares about this. So I decided against telling them all the rest about all the other stuff. And I do gotta disclose that after speaking to the guy that he lived in with,
Jasper.
yeah, but Jasper. Jasper then also said, like, I asked Jasper, what about his parents? What about the dad unaliving the mom, right? Like, was that a lie too? And he said, no, unfortunately, that was not a lie. And I was really sad because, you know, I was hopeful that, you know, because nobody should go through that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also
Super
a big
sad.
thanks to the chat because you guys are really, really supportive. It's really sweet.
I know, you got to read everything.
Yeah.
What was your favorite comment in the chat that you read tonight?
Well, a lot of it made me laugh, yeah, and a lot of it when, like, earlier on in the story, like at the point where he declined me coming to him, where he rejected me and kept me from coming to him over summer. Everybody else was like going wild and being like, no, that's a red flag and that's terrible and all these red flags. And, you know, it really makes me realize, looking back on it now, like obviously they were. And I realized that they were. But 10 years is such a long time that I just had to stay hopeful and be like, yeah, this really sucks. But, you know, with his super traumatic youth, without, you know, dad in jail, mom not there, living with his grandmother who was a really rough woman too, because I'd hear her yelling at him over Discord, like over the years. So I when he said that it was his anxiety, of course I was super rejected and disappointed, but I still felt like it must be the anxiety then, because obviously growing up like that must leave a dent. So I just chose actively, like I saw all the red flags, but I actively just chose to believe in the best because of all the, you know, you saw the vows. He was really good with words.
I know. He had you fooled for sure. Like it's, and I know it's like,
fooled.
It's, yeah, everyone, not just you.
His real life friends too. Like, you know, the guy that he lived with, that was his childhood friend that he had known since elementary. And when I spoke to him, like hearing him say like, yeah, he wanted to stay at my house again, but you know, I was not going to do that. So I bought him a ticket and shipped him off to his dad. I mean, that just goes to show how deep the lies run. If your oldest friends that took care of you for years still don't want to see you, like, wild.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would have been tricked in that situation too. Like, you have talked to this guy for years and you cared about him, you loved him, like you wanted to hope for the best, of course.
Right, yeah, for sure.
I really think like he's just a master manipulator.
Oh, for sure.
Look at the stream right now with everyone cheering.
Oh, it's so nice.
For the interview. It's so cute.
You guys rock. Very sweet.
I was gonna ask you if anyone in like your FC knows of the story. Like any of your friends from the game, do they also know the story?
I summarized it like in the week after he left, I did. And I did inform my FC leader about, you know, me sending the story to you and that you'd gotten back to me that you wanted to read it. And her first reaction was like, oh, but it doesn't involve the FC, right? You're not mentioning the FC. And I was like, no. Like, none of you guys are mentioned at all. No.
They were like, we did not do anything. Us FC are good people.
But we like duoed everything together. that, you know, even like raiding or like partying up with people, he never really got close to people. And I did a little bit, but not as much as I could have if he had not been there. And so the people that I did hang out with a little bit, they were really shook. They were really like upset after I like
Oh my
summarized
god.
and
Right? How could you even summarize that? Like, you need to actually go on voice and be like, all right, so here it is. And you're just like, I couldn't possibly like summarize what you went through in Final Fantasy 14, like the game itself, because it's just too long.
yeah, it was hard. So I would just say something like, you know, well, that didn't work out. We
Yeah,
broke up because he turned out to be a scammer. And they were like, what? I'm like, yeah, he took 2 grand from one of his IRL friends. And they're like, what? And, you know, bit by bit, I disclosed a little bit, but like, I didn't want the FC chat to be full of drama because we're very proud
true.
that we are a very drama-free FC.
Chat wants to ask you, what was his race in the game?
He was a Mikote, and before he was Mikote, his other character that he played on NA was a Aura.
Wait, girl or boy?
Boy, boy, boy.
Boy, for both. Okay, okay. So
Yep.
yeah, I guess he was totally trying to pick up women in the game. Totally.
Yeah, like it makes sense now because here's the crazy thing. Sometimes you meet someone who's like really good at raiding and then they can
Mm,
explain that. Or you meet someone who's really good at crafting, or you want to know something about a thing in Eureka, you know? And this
mhm.
guy knew how to run everything in the most efficient way. Any question you could ask, he knew. And I was just like, oh my God, I found that so attractive. Like, oh, he knows everything, you know? So smart.
Question: does he have a hot voice?
He does. The thing is, in real life, it's a bit less hot because I think his mic does like add a layer to it, but he has a really deep voice, you
Do
know?
you think
So
he went out of his way to buy a good mic just to have a hot voice?
I don't know. I
That
maybe,
that's part of the strat.
maybe, but it's also just, you know, we started talking when his dad was like fresh out of jail, and
Mm.
over the years, I like saw him cope with this and, you know, turn into what I thought was a very well balanced person considering all the shit he went through. I never really questioned it, and I think most of my attraction was with seeing that he went through something so traumatic as like losing a parent and having another parent like incarcerated over that.
Yeah.
That I was just so impressed that he was still like so nice. And then on top of that, a really good gamer. I mean, that's a dream, right?
Yeah. It's a bonus.
I still see people chatting about the beanie. Oh my
I know,
god,
because
the
the
beanie.
beanie was definitely kind of like the what the hell was under the beanie?
Because people even said like after a week or so, like, why don't you just snatch it off?
Yeah.
And I was like, I
While he was
almost didn't
sleeping.
want, yeah, I didn't want to anymore because I knew something was going on up in there and I didn't really want to find out at this point anymore. And I was kind of like, you know, scared what I might find, you know what I mean? So I was just like, I'm gonna let it go. It's whatever. It's really gross.
Do
But
you
I
have
had
nightmares about what could be under the beanie? Or you like taking off the beanie in your dreams?
no, but the thing is, I did deep clean the entire house, and I like threw away all the bath mats, and I deep
Oh
cleaned
my lord.
especially the bathroom because of all the
Yeah.
skin flakes. And that is like my fear. If I see something on the floor now, I get really freaked out because I think it's a skin flake, but then it's not. Then
Okay. How long ago was it when he left your house?
he left my house. He flew back on April 10th, so that's 17 days ago.
Oh my god, so fresh. Oh my
Yeah, and
gosh.
he stalked me
Yes,
up and
chat.
until April 21st. And he would send me emails. He would make Discord accounts. He would generate new phone numbers so that he could like use web WhatsApp and like text me there. TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, everywhere, any platform
Oh
thinkable.
my
But like he finally stopped on the 21st.
oh my gosh. Wow.
So it's been silent now for like almost a week.
Maybe he got a job. Yeah. Has to
Yeah,
be, being busy at least now. That's why he stopped.
yeah. In that
That is
like
wild.
I noticed that when I kept blocking him, he would just like generate new things. So then I just decided to keep one unblocked and just kind of ignore it and skim it here and there. And I
Yeah.
did speak to him a little in the meantime. And it was just more of the same. And he would just say stuff like, I'm going to be honest, I'm never going to lie again. And I'm like, I'll never know if you're telling the truth. So I don't even
Right.
want to find out. Like, you can't even prove it to me anymore because it's just not possible. And then he's like, yeah, but just ask me anything. And so I thought, I will put this to the test. Not for giving him another chance, but what I knew is that his dad has taken his PC, right? But he
Yeah.
did not disclose that to me in his beggy, stalky messages. So
Oh,
I
how did you
asked,
find out about the dad taking the
oh,
PC?
Jay told me.
Jasper.
Right. And
Okay,
so,
okay.
like, they told me about, the dad actually taking the PC from him and, like, saying to his son, you're gonna have to get a job or else you're getting a tent and I'm kicking you out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, all his friends and family now, too, are just so done with this shit. And so I knew that the dad had taken the PC, right? And
Yeah.
so I then asked him like, okay, so how come you're not online yet on Final Fantasy? Because he's stalking me everywhere, right? Except
Mm-hmm.
for in the game, which I would have expected. And he said, yeah, I just wanted to give you some space. Plus, I haven't gotten the chance to get a new monitor yet.
Oh my
And
god, he's not even being honest with
right.
you.
And so then I
Oh my,
told him like,
still.
again, at the first moment you lie again because I know your dad took your PC and I know he's
Yeah.
gonna kick you out if you don't get, your stuff
Yeah.
together.
I have a question. Has he ever at least apologized to what he put you through?
A billion times, and he feels so bad. But here's the thing, how will I know if he actually feels bad about it?
True.
He
He's
could
a
be like
liar.
in DMs with a million people by now doing the exact
Yeah.
same thing.
Do you know his age? Like, more or
Yes.
less?
So I'm almost 34, and he was 6 years younger than me, so he's 28. So when I
Oh.
met him, I was like 24, almost 25, and he was 19, almost 20. So there was quite an age gap there. But he just seemed so emotionally mature because of all the things that he went through, right? So it never really felt like he was that much
He
younger.
had to grow up fast, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, like, he had to grow up fast, but he didn't grow up also.
Right. What makes me really sad is, when you have a breakup with someone, you realize that the relationship is done, but you can reflect on the relationship and still have fond memories. However, every single thing I think back on now, I just keep thinking like, oh, he was cheating at this point, or he was
Yeah.
untruthful about this. He mourned the death of his grandmother in front of me, like broke down crying on voice
What?
chat. And this woman is still alive. Like, what the
What the
hell?
fuck? Yeah, see, this is really like, oh my god. It's kind of like Who the F Did I Marry? Because that guy in Who the F Did I Marry pretended to talk to his brother, like, on the phone, like, so many days, but he was, like, lying also. Like, these people just believe their own lies. It's so weird.
Yeah, I honestly think this is the same thing that like Jasper told me afterwards. He's like, if I were you, I would stay very far away from him because he is just a compulsive liar and a sociopath,
Yeah.
obviously.
His friends are staying away too, right?
Yeah, because they literally shipped him off to the next state to live with his dad.
Does he have any friends in Final Fantasy 14 that you know of?
Not on EU, no, because he was just hyper focused on
Oh.
me. In fact, and he apologized for this and he acknowledged this, but whenever we were trying to make a static quite recently, right, to get ready
Mm-hmm.
for 7.0. And so people were interested, and then we'd run dungeons with him, and he'd be tanking, but he would just be trolling, as if he had known these people for years, but this was our first time meeting them. So he would overpull, he would drag the mobs out of the little circle from the ninja. He would just, to the point, and we're all in voice chat, and all these people were like, "No, don't do it. This is annoying." Like
Is he like
frustrated.
showing off?
Right, and he just thought it was so funny, and I told him like, "Look, we need these people if we want to make a static, right? Like we can't do that with
Mm-hmm.
just us two." So, and then he actually in the week like after he had left when he was stalking me, he apologized for that as well, and he said like, "I realized that I was doing this to because I didn't want people to infringe on my time that I had with you, and that is shitty of me, but that
Oh
is
my
why I
god.
did that." And I was like, "Oh, so toxic."
So he okay, he doesn't want you to have any friends. That's like a form of
Yeah,
manipulation also. Like he doesn't want you to have
for sure. All my
anyone.
time was going
Only
into him.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do hope that he does get help, like legitimately. I still want him to succeed in life, because
Yeah, for
it,
sure.
it must, because I keep thinking from his perspective too, like, why would you do it? And when your whole world, if you're such a liar, if your whole world comes crashing down, including all your childhood friends now hating your guts, that's gotta be so hard. And it must be so lonely. And yes, it is, his own grave that he dug, but still, I really hope that he does better in life so that he can have a semblance of a normal life and have like a normal relationship with people.
Some of the questions are a bit personal. So, like, someone's asking, are you taking therapy or have you gone to therapy over this situation?
That's a good question. No, I have not. And I also don't really plan for it
Mm-hmm.
because I think I can really compartmentalize this enough, and I've already come to terms with it so much, like just the way that we're talking about it now too. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it hurts, but part of me is also just relieved because the picture of what was in front of me was not matching up with the picture that was in my mind. So yeah, it really sucks that all of this was a lie. And here's the thing, we broke up in week 3 of him being here, and he stayed for a little over 2 months, right? 2 months and two
Yeah.
days. So I did the grieving while he was here. I did all the crying and stuff
Yeah.
while he was here. So I feel like I'm
And
already over a month into, getting over it.
true. And also doing this is a form of therapy too. Like, getting the story out there, and you writing it out is just like a form of therapy also, and then seeing what everyone else thinks. Some people are asking about how's the horse, but I said at the end of the story the horse is with a friend, so OP
Horse
does
is
get to see the
awesome.
horse. Yeah.
Yes, the
Mhm.
horse is doing great. And I still think it's really insane if you think about it. A 28-year-old getting shipped to his dad and his dad taking his PC. Oof.
Yeah, a 28-year-old with his PC gone. Oh my god. What is your advice if someone had been or is in a similar situation?
Ooh, I love this question. Thanks so much for asking. So my biggest advice is to not get ahead of yourself and to not only like stare blindly towards the dream that you have of this future that you're speaking of with this person, but to, get receipts. Get receipts, please, because like all the things about like, if somebody says, "Yeah, I have a really good job," of course they don't need to send you a bank statement, right? But at least it's a red flag if he doesn't introduce you to his friends, or if you can never like confirm anywhere if any that he's saying is true. And like his Facebook page, for example, it's a total meme Facebook page. It only has memes on it, zero pictures and whatever. And he would just say like, "Yeah, no, I don't like to have an online presence." That's a red flag in a way because there was
True.
literally no presence of him anywhere. So my biggest advice would be to double, triple, quadruple check that the story pans out before doing this. Especially if you're working yourself to the bone to make it happen and you don't see that in your partner, do not let them hide behind anything for it, really. Like, get an answer.
How do you think he got all that money in the game?
I think potentially, here's the thing. I have never like seen his NA characters, right? So I cannot
Mm-hmm.
confirm if it was even true, first of all. What I can confirm is the alt that he moved over to EU that had like the 300 mil. And this alt only had its crafters leveled and like a tank so that he could get through the MSQ. And what he told me is that he used to be in a crafters guild that would only farm and craft together. And whenever like new crafted gear came out, people would like do these commissions for the newest set to prog, right? And he'd make
Mm-hmm.
like between 50 to 200 mil per set that he would craft. And he knew everything about that. So I do think that over the years, especially if he never worked, then that he had all the time to, get some money himself. I don't think that he's a whale and that he like bought money. I don't think so.
Maybe half half,
Yeah,
like
or potentially
half
that he
bought.
like lied about some of the accounts being cap gold, but still his gold was good enough to like transfer over 300 mil like it was nothing, right? But it did pan out with like his knowledge about like all the crafting and all this stuff and how he did that.
What was the game you guys initially met on?
It was called Aura Kingdom. It's a really, really bad play to win Korean crappy game. No story, like very grindy. But there too, you could get married. And there too, we got married. And there too, he stalked me every time when I would break contact with him and stuff.
So did he like have impressive stuff on that game too?
No, not at all. on that game, like I was really well geared, and I was like in the top 10 of the players at the moment, which is like a really dumb flex because
Oh.
it's a really crappy game. So
So
that,
like you were the ultimate raider from that game kind of thing.
yeah, kind of. So and he was just like completely normal, but I really liked his demeanor and just his personality.
Was it him who told you to play FF14 or was it your idea?
Oh, that was my idea. I'm like a
Oh.
WoW refugee. So I started like in Shadowbringers and fell in love with the game. And I played it for about like half a year or so until I like got back in touch with him after like, some months of us not speaking yet again, as per usual. And then, he was like, "Oh yeah, I've been playing that for 10 years." And I was like, "Oh." And I was like just getting into Savage rating at that point. And he's like, "Oh yeah, have you ever done Ultimates?" And I was like, "Oh no, show me."
Yeah.
Oh, and I hate that he's so good at the game. Like, it's so frustrating. I missed it.
So if he comes back into the Final Fantasy 14 and you see his character, will you just still ignore or do you think you'd talk to him?
I would ignore. I can say that wholeheartedly now because I've done that now for the last while, and he's also not talking to me right now.
Run.
And I want to keep it that way because like the longer I think about it all, the more I know that it's just insane, right? Like nothing he can ever say. He could like turn himself into like the Dalai Lama or like the Pope and be like so like devout and completely clean and whatever, but I would never be able to believe it.
You know what? What if he uses like a completely different character and tries to trick you all over again? Like that would be really scary.
Yeah, I get scared of people that play the game different, like perfectly, because that's what makes me think that it might be him. Because he's
Yeah.
he's the kind of person that can never like, even if there's like a new player or a sprout in the party, he can never back down. He has to show how perfect he does it, and like to the point where he doesn't control it. So if I see somebody pulling perfectly and doing just Xeno kind of style things in the game that I'm like, yeah, because legitimately he's really good.
Did you
Unfortunately, he's a really good gamer. So
did he have some like go-to lines that he said quite often? Catchphrases?
no, but he's just really funny with words. So the home diddly squiddly widdly, that stuff just made me laugh. It's so funny. But he also, we'd be doing Boja or a Eureka, and we'd be trying to kill a mob that was way above our level, and the pool had taken us 20 minutes, and he'd say stuff like, "We're still beating on God's mistake for half an hour now," like stuff like that. If you
Mm.
made no catchphrase, but if you meet somebody that plays super perfectly and says really like quaint things, I guess.
Someone is like, is he Ned Flanders?
Because of his widdly widdly.
Yeah. So he was quite confident online, you would say?
Yes, but not in a boasting way. So he will not. But again, I think that's because he only wanted to talk to me. So he never actively went to chat to other people. So that would be a pointer. If you're with the guy and the guy never wants to participate in a lot of FC chat or like FC events or like in the party chat or anything.
Was there ever a moment where he was in a group call, but he was just quiet?
Yeah, he would always be very quiet. And even if we'd be doing raids with people that were like trying to micromanage what he was doing, and then afterwards he'd tell me like, "Yeah, I just didn't see a point in saying anything," but they had no idea what they were talking about, and then he'd explain it to me. Unfortunately, it turned out that he'd always be right. But yeah, no, he doesn't.
Some are asking if you are single or talking to anyone else
Very single, very happy to be single.
after you went through all of that. I'd expect you definitely to be single for a while.
Yeah, it's interesting though to see that like male friends that I've had for a longer while all of a sudden are like checking in with me daily how I'm doing and stuff, and I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
but I'm good, I think I'll
damn. So
keep
people
it.
are trying to slide in your DMs?
Yeah, a little bit. Like not so actively that it feels uncomfortable, but so much out of the norm that they're now contacting me all of a sudden. People that I hadn't spoken to in a long time.
But if there's any other things you want to tell us, OP, that you didn't put in the story, feel free to like share more if you want.
Yeah, okay, so imagine that you're talking to someone and whatever you say, it wasn't like if I gave an opinion on something that he would be like, yeah, yeah, you're right, me too. he wouldn't be like a yes man like that. He would actually like pile onto it. So if I would have said, "Oh, I like dogs," then he would say something like, "Oh yeah, I know somebody that drowned a dog and I kicked their ass." To
What the
really make me
hell?
feel like this. He didn't say this. This is just like rhetorical, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
a true example would be that he told me that some years ago he worked in construction on the same job as where his dad, as a felon, then worked as well, and that his
Okay.
dad got fired within a month for continual no-shows. And then now I hear from Jasper, like, oh no, he never like worked a day in his life, and the one job that he had was with the same place with his dad, but he got fired because he never showed up. And I was like, wow, he told me that his dad got fired and that he resented his dad so much over that. And then Jasper's like, no way, his dad is now like a superintendent there. So it's like every single thing he said to influence me was, taken out of context, like willingly by him, knowingly. And for example, the ex-boyfriend that I like left for him, when we got together for 2 years, he didn't have a job. And, he knew about that. And he always said to me, "Oh, you're so sweet. You're too sweet to these people, but don't worry about it. With me, you'll never have to worry about that. I really
Oh.
like to contribute."
But in reality, he was like, I like what I'm seeing. She's going to also
Right?
take care of me.
Maybe, yeah. Well, his goals and intentions were, as he says, to be with me, and that he was just so caught in the lies that he didn't know how to return from them anymore.
Oh my
And
god.
that, there was a point of no return. And he was legitimately hopeful that once he got a job here, that we could just forget about all of that and just have a happy life together. Because he really wanted that. And a part of me believes that because he seemed very genuine in saying so. And also, you know, but a part of me also thinks, you can't. You can't
Oh
ever
no.
know with someone,
I wouldn't believe, yeah.
right? You
Yeah, I
you
feel
never
like you
know.
can't change someone like that. It's very hard to change someone once they're an adult. Like he
Yeah.
might be like this for the rest of his life already.
Maybe. I hope not for his sake, though. I hope that he fares well. But I also hope he continues to now finally leave me alone.
Yeah, if he gets a job and starts making his own money, maybe yeah, it could change. Yeah, I mean if Avery's watching this, it would be on a mobile.
I gave him a heads up that I sent the story to you. And he was like really freaked out at the idea. And I said, I just wanted to let you know. So he
He
knows.
won't do anything to me, right?
What is he gonna do? We discussed this as well, like in, us chatting, when you said that sometimes you can worry about these things too, like about the bad people in the stories that you read about them doing anything, right? But I think that the people that are not nice to you are only not nice to you because they are the kind of people that people send stories to you about.
Wait, when you told him about me, did he know of me or not?
Yes, because get this, we watch your videos together, right? And we'd see all
Oh,
these lying scumbags, and he'd be like, that's wild, all these liars.
and
Uh-huh,
he's
uh-huh.
terrible.
He'd get a little bit silent, and I'd be like super passionate about it, right? And then he'd be like, uh-huh. And now I'm like, ooh, that's rough.
Oh my god. So he was acting like, yeah, oh my god, these people are so bad. But meanwhile, he's
Sweat
the worst
emoji,
bad guy I've ever had in a story.
right? Yeah.
Oh
And
man.
we're laughing about it now because it is so insane, right? So the best thing I
Yeah.
can do is laugh about it. But it
Yeah.
was very like hurtful, obviously. Like
Of course, of course.
unfortunately, at the end of the day, this is still my life.
Yeah. I'm sorry you went through that. That's a nightmare. I
Yeah,
don't wish that upon anyone.
me
But
neither.
you're handling yourself very well. You're a strong person for going through that. And even trying to still help him after everything he did to you. You were still like, oh, come on, let's sort your life out. I got this with you, you know? You were nice. Even your parents. Okay, be honest, what did your parents think?
So my
Were they
parents,
scared for you?
yeah, a little bit, but like my parents, my mom, she asked like, like, is this what you want and stuff? And I said, that I had expressed my concerns about his fitness and stuff. So I told my mom about what I had told him too. With regards to if we ever have kids, I don't want to be the only person that's like physically able to run after them. And my mom was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a good thing that you like spoke to him about that. So she was really supportive in it all. And she knew that he was kind of like a little bit off because his facial expression would always be blank. So where your voice has all this intonation and all this like color to it, he would just have a blank stare no matter if he was cracking a joke or saying something sad. There was like no difference
Whoa.
in his body language. So that really
Weird.
threw all of us off. Yeah, maybe that was potentially a sign of some underlying further issues, right? You know
Mm-hmm.
how they say that about sociopaths, that they can sometimes do that? Maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So they were a little bit worried about it. They were also relieved that, in the end I chose for what was good for me. But they did not like try to influence me along the way because they're just really nice. They're
Your
really
parents were so funny. They're like, here, have $200. Just as long as you leave. No,
Yeah,
no,
and like
I'm
in the
sure it
middle of
was.
the night, donating their suitcase as well. And he was really apologetic about it too. And they're like, "No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. We don't travel that much anyway anymore. Here, just
Yeah.
it's fine."
Tell him that if he
They were
wants
really
to harm
kind to him.
Pat, he'll have to throw hands with me first. 9 you
Yeah,
woo
they're
9.
good people.
Oh, we're getting some nice messages. Chat, thank you
Nice to
so
see
much for being
that.
lovely to OP. OP, if you have any last few words you want to say, or any plugins, I don't know. Who knows? You might be a streamer, or you might do content.
So no, I don't really have any plugs, but what I can disclose is that like the data center it went down in was chaos, and the server, like the world it was on, was Louis Soin. So maybe if people eventually find out that it was me through the stories, I am currently looking for a small army of people to replace this man for raiders of any caliber, be them ultimate raiders, savage raiders, or people to do roulettes with, Or if you're
Oh,
into fishing, so like I need an army of new friends. That's what I need.
I do have one question before you leave. What is your favorite drama story that you've listened to so far?
Oh my gosh, my favorite drama story, oh my gosh. I think the one of I forget what the title was. I think it was like a Lalafell, and it
Oh,
was about
Lambalala.
maybe it was about like the Lalafell that got roped into that ERPFC with all those people that were really into doing super dark
Oh,
things.
disturbing Lalafell story.
Yes, I was like, no, run for
I
the
got the
hills.
directory.
It was wild. That's my favorite. Yeah.
Thanks. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, thanks so much for doing this because I think a
Of
lot of
course.
people don't realize this, but you give such a good platform because I feel like, this story's wild, but I still
Yeah.
feel that you did it respectfully, that you didn't
Aww.
slander the guy, that you still look at it kind of objectively in a way. Like you read what the chat says and, you give your own 2 cents, but I don't see you going like, oh, what a
Yeah.
jerk. Like you do it so respectfully, which is why I chose you to do this story instead of making my own drama video about it. So thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Oh, you're welcome. I just don't want to be mean to anyone. Even if they were bad, I get that, like, I will be shocked and stuff like that. But I understand that sometimes people can change. Sometimes people make mistakes and they can learn from it.
Yeah.
And there's always more than one side to the story, even though this one is like, I know I totally believe you in this story, but of course, in other stories I receive, like, there's more than one side to a story. So
Yes, for sure.
I can't really just pick a side or anything like that. I just want to tell the story.
So I think you're doing it in a really nice
Oh,
way. So big compliments to you.
appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. I'm so happy you said yes. And oh my god, thank you so much for sharing that story. It's a huge story, and like I know it's a huge part of your life, and I hope things get much better for you because oh my god, you
Yeah.
deserve better things in life.
Thanks. Yeah. Karma dictates that now I'm gonna meet someone awesome one day. I'm sure.
Yeah, you will. You're an awesome person. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye. Take care.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye. I can't believe I'm still here dancing. Look at all you guys. Oh my gosh. The OP and her parents, very sweet people. And yeah, maybe Avery will see this video one day. I mean, they both watch my stuff, and OP told him that she was going to give the story to me to read. So he is going to be listening to this and reading everything chat said. Oh my god. Okay, Avery, please don't do this to anyone anymore. Please change for the better. Feel free to bring your character up on stage, guys. Avery, wash that beanie, touch grass, and become better. Thank you. Well said. Well said. Yeah, please wash the beanie. This is a nice ending. Look, everyone's cheering. Woo! And I hope, you know, when people hear stories like this, there's other people out there who have crazy stories too. They're gonna be like, wow, that was very brave of OP to share such a crazy story like that. And then they might feel like they want to share their stories.